Welcome. Yes, I'm here. All right, get some sound going up in this thing. You don't know how hard it is for me with all of these ADD tendencies to watch my own intro happen for about 2 minutes and then start the show on time. I get so distracted. I'm over here dancing. I'm running around the room. Not really much room to run around, but I'm running around literally this morning, trying to burn off some energy. Just so excited about the show. So excited about the opportunity that we have today perhaps to make a difference. We're going to be talking about cooperation. We're going to be having breakfast with the Blue this morning, and I am super excited about that. Thank you guys so much for joining. 1 hour, yeah, one 1 hour a day. That's all we ask. Surely you can give an hour of your time to the calls so that we can make this world a better place. We can do the things that we need to do. I want to say good morning to everybody that's out there watching from the international audience. We got folks streaming from all over the place. We have Facebook Live that's coming on here, and you guys are it's a growing audience there. It is strong. And we also have YouTube, who is joining us as well. Thank you, guys. Awesome. And Twitch, hey, there's some folks from Twitch who are starting to, the games and Erskin Music Show at the same time. I love it. Keep that energy. Don't plant viruses on the show. And yeah, great stuff. So comment section is turned on, and I see some folks who are already jumping in that comment section. Good morning. Good morning. Is the camera frozen? That camera is not frozen. Hopefully this camera gets unfrozen soon. So yeah, thank you guys. Again, comment section turned on. We're going to be doing that throughout the day. It's going to be a lot of excitement here today. The Dolphins are in the studio. We keep them in a little aquarium somewhere here. And so no dolphins are harmed during the course of this show or injured or maimed. But the dolphin sound effect is with us here on the show today. We also got Big Head in the studio. What up, Big Head? All right. So Big Head is doing his thing this morning. And we got Ruby and Scooby in the background there. They are just processing life. They're just watching over. It's kind of like little mannequin angels there. They're just kind of watching over the show, making sure that all is well. Well, I want to get to some of our brand stuff coming up here on the show. We got a verse of scripture for the day. We're going to be plugging in with that. And then we also have some pretty cool stuff with our guests in the waiting room here. So we're not going to keep her waiting long. So let me get to the verse of the day. Let me get to the song of the day. Then we're going to get Jessica on, and then she's got to get on. She's got to get off. And so you guys tell your friends, everybody get up on here as quickly as possible. We're not going to, yeah. Okay. You can see me moving. I'm alive and well. It's kind of like the Jesus video that we had made in the image of God with a cheesy Erskin little dance going on there. So yeah, good. So tell all your friends, tell them, gather around. Now is the time. So let me do the verse of scripture for the day, and then we're going to get started with some other weird stuff, and then we'll get Jessica on as soon as possible here. So here we go. We're in Romans chapter 13. You probably knew I was going to go to this passage of scripture. If you've been around church any length of time, you've probably heard somebody talk about Romans 13 in conjunction with the authorities that God places in our lives and what that looks like. And so, yeah, the police are one of those authorities, and it's great to be reminded of these verses as we consider today perhaps some of the questions that we might ask, and then some of the comments that we get a chance to hear, and perspectives and insights that are going to be allowed to be able to be shared on this show. And so Romans 13, verse 1 through, let's take it through 5. Let every person be subject to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except from God, and those that exist have been instituted by God. Therefore, whoever resists the authorities resists what God has appointed, and those who resist will incur judgment. For rulers are not a terror to good conduct, but to bad. Would you have no fear of the one who is an authority? Then do what is good, and you will receive his approval. For he is God's servant for your good. But if you do wrong, be afraid, for he does not bear the sword in vain. For he is the servant of God, an avenger who carries out God's wrath on the wrongdoer. Therefore, one must be in subjection not only to avoid God's wrath, but also for the sake of conscience. You know, we live in an anti-society. There's many groups whose sole existence is we are against this, or we are against this, or we're anti. And that sort of seems to be the culture and the climate that we find ourselves in. We're a culture of antithesis. We're a culture that likes to push against the norm, push against the authority, push against the regulations. Groups and people have styled themselves in our culture and our society because of this and have made names for themselves as a result of this. We are in a society that is, in a sense, trying to figure out what is wrong, and groups that come to try to fix what is wrong. A concern for justice, I believe, is appropriate. I'm reading currently through the book of Isaiah, and over again, you see that not only is God concerned about justice, but he is going to send his suffering servant into the world, whom we know to be Jesus, as a result of the fact of the injustice that has taken place. And he heals that up as a result of sacrificing himself and then commissioning us to go out and do something about that. And so there is a very real sense in which we should be concerned about justice and the redress of evil in our society and wrong. But it is not wrong. It is not wrong also to find ways that we can cooperate with our governing authorities. In fact, this scripture tells us that it would go well for us in many cases if we would do that more. And so I want to encourage you by this interview that we're getting ready to have, that to think about maybe things in the light of different perspectives that people have who are in law enforcement, who engage in serving and protecting wherever we're at. And I know that we all have our own personal individual stories. Maybe at some point outside of this, I can share some of those with you. But hey, we have an opportunity today, and today is what the Lord has given us. And so I'm super excited about what's going on here. Really quickly going to get Jessica on in just a second here, but I got to do my That's Weird section. So, oh yeah. So that's weird. We're not going to do the actual segment today because, we got a lot of things that we can pull from that. So I'm just going to give you the moniker.
That's weird.
Yes. If you didn't already know that I was weird, then you probably already know. I should probably just do the interview with this hat on, because
that's weird.
Song, and then Jessica's coming on here. It is the Erskin music show. And so let's do a song called Grace Made the First Move. How you guys like that song? Those of you who are watching in Waxahachie, I'm talking to you, Meg, and the crew. You're going to hear this song very soon.
I'm a self-made man with my well-laid plans, and I was taught to do it on my own. But I've tried and failed, and I've been derailed. From dust you picked me up, and now I know. Made the first move. Oh, what have I to fear? Victory is here. It overwhelms my worn and weary soul. Nothing I could earn, what I don't deserve. 'Cause love is overcome. It all.
Go ahead and get him, Teen Wolf. Yep. So we are here getting ready to enter. That was the song "Grace Made the First Move." By the way, in case you didn't notice that, by the time I kept saying "Grace Made the First Move" like 50,000 times in that song. So yeah, there's that song. But now let's transition here to our interview for today. And this is my personal experience here. Grew up at a time back in the 90s when NWA and groups like that were singing F with characters, the police. We lived through some of those times, and we live in a time now when there's people who are massively chanting to defund the police. There are reasons back then and back now why there's an adversarial relationship. We live in a fallen world, and that's part of it. But then there's also some historical examples. And so that's one thing that could be described here. But there are reasons, but actually, I want to talk about cooperating with authorities today, like we talked about in Romans chapter 13. We're going to get Jessica on here. Let me just quickly read her bio here. Jessica is an 8-year veteran in the area of law enforcement, and if any of this is wrong, she can come on here and she can correct me. But she holds a criminal justice degree, BS, from Francis Marion University in South Carolina. In 2018, her and her husband moved to Nashville. That may not exactly be correct because I don't want to put names and stuff where they don't belong. But anyway, where they serve the Metro Nashville Police Department, where they have relocated to serve faithfully here. They have a 6-year-old son, and Jessica enjoys running marathons. And so don't try to run from her because she will get you every time. We met each other because of the night out events for the police that they do for the community, as well as our work on the Justice Circle here in Nashville. Of all podcasts in the world, she said that she doesn't go on any of those podcasts. She only comes on the Erskin Music Show. And so that is how it's going to be. And so we're honored to have at the doorbell Jessica Ware. We're going to let her in here. We'll let her in. You here? All right. We got to get your sound on here because it's great to see the office there. You got to get some sound up on this thing. Yo, yo, yo. I see you. You can probably hear me. Okay. Yep. So, if there's a let me try to help you out here. There's a little mute button that should be somewhere in the corner of the screen. And it says that you have that muted. So it says that you have all the power and all the control. You got the power. I don't. I do not have the control. But we're getting Jessica squared away here. Let me try to help you out there. Maybe if you log out and then log back on.
Got it.
Okay. Whew, man.
Yes. So our Metro firewalls would not let me do this on the computer, so I'm using my phone.
Okay.
Which is making it a little bit more interesting. Sorry about that.
Hey, you know what? We like interesting shows around here. In fact, if it wasn't interesting, well, nobody would watch it. So thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
You're going to get...
That helps. I appreciate it.
And I don't know how much of the show you can actually listen to when you're in the waiting room. And like if you can hear the show or see the show, I don't know what the waiting room experience is like because I'm always on the other side of that. But did you hear any of that silliness by way of your intro and your bio this morning?
I did, and I have a sociology degree, not a criminal justice degree.
Okay, well, that's great.
But that's okay. Most of it was right.
I was thinking I think I'm making stuff up, but she will come in and correct me very soon.
No worries.
But I mean, I know the part about you only going on the Erskin Music Show was probably especially good.
Yes, I like that one. You are my first podcast. How about that? Is that good?
All right. You're only going to move up from here. All right. That's awesome. And so Yeah, we got some folks who are tuning in because they're interested in our conversation. But like I said in the bio, and people probably don't know this about this show and probably any other show, is that before a guest comes on here, we don't just like randomly like look around like, hey, look, there's a police officer walking down the street. I'm going to get them to come on my show. Like we've actually had some experience with one another. We've seen each other in various settings. We've sat in meetings together. We've probably, talked with each other a total of hours. If you were to combine it all from our first meeting until now. And so we have the benefit of knowing some things about one another. The audience is meeting you for the first time, and if they're ridiculous enough to watch this show regularly, then they're used to my silliness. But just beyond what it is that I did there, if there's anything that you want to correct or say about yourself, let me go ahead and let you have the floor to be able to share that with the audience.
I think you did an awesome job. I have enjoyed working with you. You did phenomenal helping out with the music at our Night Out Against Crime, so I really appreciate that. And yes, we have probably talked hours if you think about all the meetings and groups that we're in together. So
yeah, there's a lot of overlap between what the Justice Circle does and obviously in your daily affairs. Now, describe to us your position at the Metro Nashville Police Department.
Sure. So I'm the Community Affairs Sergeant for East Precinct. And what that means is I get a different perspective than the average officer. I put my time in on patrol. I've definitely been out there in the community answering calls for service like a regular patrol officer. But now I get to build relationships with the community. Mm-hmm. I address a lot of community concerns, a lot of quality of life issues, not necessarily criminal issues. And a lot of my job is connecting people. I love being part of the Justice Circle and being able to be part of that conversation because I think y'all are doing some great work out there.
Yeah. Let's do this because I didn't look down at the camera until just now. But is there any way that you could tilt your camera up just a little bit? Because I want you to rise in prominence here. I don't want this to be like a toxic or like down. I'm sorry, down.
Okay.
I don't want this to be like a toxic masculinity episode here. Erskin towers over his guest. He's making a veiled statement about the police here. I do not want it to be that. In fact, you could just raise your thing up all the way to just maybe on your screen so we could like be even. If if that works for you. If not, I just want everybody to know this is. I'm not making a statement. There you go. Stand up.
I'm short. Okay, I've got issues. All right.
There you are a little shorty. Hey, little shorty.
Short.
But you're a marathon runner, and so like I said in the bio, like don't think just because she's short you're gonna get away from her. She'll catch you eventually.
May take a few miles, but about mile 26, I'll get you.
No, like if that's uncomfortable to you, then you can totally sit down. I just didn't want it to be like one of those things where I'm big and then you're small, and then I'm not trying to make any hidden statements about the police or authority the way that this show is set up here. And so, yeah. Anyway, I'll move on because I know that time is of the essence for you and you're getting started in the day. But I wanted to ask you this question as we get started here today. Every day changes for you. I know that we were trying to have a conversation yesterday and you were going to this meeting and that, and you were discovering that you had new things on the schedule and life and circumstances change regularly in your line of work. Just describe to us, I know there's not a typical day, but what comes in the course of a day in your world?
Well, again, as the community coordinator, it's a little different than just a regular patrol officer. That's one thing that I love about the job is the day is never going to be the same as yesterday. Mm-hmm. So I start my day off by answering a lot of community concerns and emails. And then I also have to follow up on every residential and commercial burglary that we have.
Okay.
Part of that follow-up is offering people site surveys. So we go around the business or around the residents and try to look at ways to make it less appealing to criminals. We've learned how to do that through interviewing criminals and just looking at crime prevention by design. We talk about planting, we talk about shrubbery, lights, everything like that. And those are completely free services that we offer the community. And then I try to address some of the community concerns so I don't have to shove everything on patrol, unfortunately, because they're very busy trying to make sure the community is safe. Mm-hmm. So sometimes I'm going out and writing parking tickets or talking to people about, making sure that they lock their car doors. That's a big one right now in Nashville. We have a lot of vehicle break-ins and just educating people. That's a lot of what I do is education.
Yeah. Um, I was telling somebody the other day, I was having a discussion with him about what it is that my life looks like. And I was saying that I meet some people who want to be artists sometimes, and their perspective in life is, yeah, you get to have every day be the same, and they like to go to bed at the same time, and they like to be in town, and they like to have a regular routine. And so I start telling them, maybe this is not what you really want to do, because for me,
Yeah.
kind of like yourself, there's no 2 days that are actually the same. Like there's these activities are going on this day, and then rehearsal this day, and then travel these days, and then back these days, and family these days, and this, there's a lot of different things that are going on. It sounds like your life is very much the same, is that you get called upon to do a lot of different things and wear a lot of different hats. I think that that is a cool thing, because I would always get bored sometimes when the day is like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It's the same thing. But that's, obviously not for everybody. Our audience, I think, loves and respects the police. Hey, can you guys give a shout out here to Jessica? Loving and respecting the police here. That also helps the algorithm get up there if you guys make some comments. But our audience loves and respects the police. Jessica, how have things been for you guys locally? I know there's kind of the national discussion that people are having, but let's talk to us maybe a little bit about locally how things have been over the last maybe couple of years.
So we definitely have seen changes in the police department, and anyone that is from here in Nashville knows that we have a new chief of police, Chief Drake. And so our policing is affected all the time by legislation changes, by societal pressure, and we have seen some of those changes effective here. So we used to use what's called a ComStat or hotspot model to policing, where we looked at the crime numbers and then we said, okay, how can we combat this? And then we would take those numbers and we'd say, all right, all these officers, I need you to focus on this one community, because this is the community of high crime. This is where we're seeing all of our robberies. This is where we're seeing our burglaries. Go out there and talk to them and do what you do. Well, the problem with that model is that it tends to focus on our areas of high crime, our main thoroughfares, and sometimes our economically disadvantaged communities, because that's where crime is occurring. So we went out there, we did what we were supposed to do. We went and made traffic stops. We conducted Terry stops, or stopping people to ask, make sure that they are supposed to be there. And we were looking for suspects. We were looking for people that matched the descriptions of the people that had been robbing people, or the people that had been breaking into businesses in the area. And it worked. We've reduced crime in that area. But what happened was the crime moved down the street or to a different precinct. And we were negatively impacting the community. We started having those community conversations about, what do you think about the police, or how are we doing in your community? And they're saying, we see you as an occupying force, not someone that is coming in to build up our community, but somebody that's coming in to tear it down, or just, make us what's right in your mind.
Sure.
So policing has changed in the fact that we are working more with the community. I look at it as more of a holistic approach. We are trying to build community relationships. We still track our crime numbers, and that does direct us. But as I said, I'm following up on all the residential burglaries, and I'm coming in and saying, can we look at your house together? Can we be a part of reducing crime for your community by giving you some tips and that educational piece? We're listening more. Am I talking too much? I talk too much.
No, you're talking just fine. I can go so many different ways with this, but as I'm looking at the comment section there's some people who want to say good morning to you. Rock and Ron, who is out in Kansas, and then we got a lot of snarky people who are in Texas, who that's where I'm from. And so they're really excited about you being here. But you get this comment here. Thanks for keeping our young Erskin out of trouble there in Nashville.
I try, but we are both snarky
that ain't
together,
gonna happen.
So I don't know how much I'm gonna help.
That ain't gonna happen.
Right. So, but anyway, so I think we're doing better at building those community relationships, and instead of being an occupying force, being a partner in that community. We're also throwing, more community events, and we're focusing a lot on youth outreach, because I think, and the chiefs think, from what I can tell, that our kids are going to be the next generation here, and they're going to be the ones that can reduce crime and can change our approach and help us, and getting them the resources they need to be successful in life is going to ultimately reduce crime.
Yeah. So just a quick full disclosure for me, I grew up in Texas, and there was a period of time in which I lived in Round Rock and Austin, and spent a considerable amount of time in East Austin, which is a pretty high crime area. A lot of low income poverty, probably not unlike some of the ways that you describe some of the areas that you patrolled. And I remember growing up as a boy, like if you saw the police, like that was generally going to be something that was negative that was happening in the community. And it's just sort of the mentality that I grew up with as a boy, was that the police are around when something really, really bad is going on. And so therefore the perception of police wasn't always a positive one in the community, like you were talking about. And so you and I have talked about this before. I think my son would do a fantastic job in law enforcement. He's kind. He's got a sense of right and wrong that we teach him here in the house. And so I've talked about, wanting to introduce him even at a young age to police officers who are making a difference in their community. Because I think, as you've talked about here, and I know that Carlos Lara is another person that, you're familiar with, that works alongside of you in the liaison position. As we've talked about that, young kids, especially young African-American minorities, kids having a good perspective of the police, I think is an important thing for the future.
Absolutely. I completely agree. And one of the things that I love doing is partnering with schools and going to talk to elementary schools about what we do and what a police officer does. And they have so many questions, and they also have so many comments and stories.
Sure. Yeah. So Meg in Waxahachie, Texas can you see these comments that are on the screen?
Not very well now.
Okay. She said, admire and respect our law enforcement. We back the blue every day. Thank you for your service and the risk that you take every day.
Thank you, Meg.
So you got a lot of love that's pouring in here. And yeah, that's kind of the audience that we have. None of these comments surprise me, because they know that I'm a little bit snarky myself. And so I invite that from the audience. I welcome that. I cherish that even. And, a lot of people who love Jesus on here. And so it stands to reason that they would also be in support of what it is that you do. Let me move along here. I got questions for you, and then we might get a little Q&A. What are the challenges that you are facing, that the police, Metro Nashville police, are facing, that people probably don't know about?
I think that a lot of our challenges come from funding, but also we can't get people in the door right now. We've changed our hiring model. We are trying, and our background recruiting is doing a phenomenal job of getting people, to apply, but finding qualified candidates and then getting them the training and through the training that they need to help serve Nashville has been difficult. And this isn't something that's specific to Nashville. This is across the country. We're actually doing better than a lot of other agencies as far as getting people in the door. I think we're about 100 officers short right now, and that floats. But we need more officers on the street, and we need more qualified candidates applying that are ready to do something great in their community.
Yeah, ready to make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
There's something about law enforcement that is just super intriguing to me. It's super appealing to me.
We're always hiring. You can apply anytime.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I can't. But
okay.
But if I could, I don't know if I'd last very long. Like I could totally see it going like some kind of case where like I have to go to court and they're like, Erskin killed this person over here, and like, how did he die? And I was like, did he shoot him? Like, no, Erskin didn't shoot. Erskin doesn't shoot people. Like, well, how did he die? Like, Erskin talked them to death. Like they were trying to get away, and like he kept talking and talking and talking. And so I have the gift of gab, and I don't know how that translates to law enforcement, but
even in the academy, they train us. The best weapon that we have is our voice, and being able to talk people down and reason with people.
Yeah, you're a hostage negotiator.
There you go.
I love it. So yeah, shortages there. So that, for the audience that's there, you guys can be praying about that, not just here in Nashville, but other places. And for those of you who are out there thinking, man, I'm just supposed to be doing something great in my community, I don't know what that is. Perhaps law enforcement is an area that you should look at. All right.
21 years old, high school diploma, a little
Yeah,
work
yeah,
experience.
yeah,
Come join.
yeah. I got a chance to tour the East Precinct the other day, and that was a lot of fun. People thought you were recruiting me, but they didn't know that
I
I was
try.
recruiting you. I was recruiting you for my show.
Yes.
But no, it's great to see all the different accommodations that you guys have, and to be able to kind of visualize what your workspace looks like on any given day. Really quickly here, you're a woman of faith. We've talked about that. And
Yes.
how has that helped you in the job that you do? And maybe you can wrap that into just a quick statement about why you even got into law enforcement.
Sure. So I'm a Christian. I love what I do. I love the God I serve, and I think that he guides me in everything that I do. Every day before I went on patrol, I would say a prayer because we have a huge responsibility as law enforcement, and
Yeah.
not many people strap on a gun every day, and unfortunately could possibly have to make the decision, my life or theirs, or being able to protect somebody chasing after maybe an active shooter, which is another problem in this country.
Yeah. Crime is
So,
on the rise.
well,
Homicide.
Okay, homicides.
Yeah, homicide. Homicide.
All right. So,
Or is
I
it
just,
not? Maybe I'm just in error.
well, I mean, our violent crime is up in Davidson County, but overall our crime numbers are actually down.
Okay.
So, I got to put that out there. We're actually in the green this year.
Okay. Because if it's not right, it's wrong.
All right. But so yeah, saying a prayer and just having him help guide my every move every day is important to me. I became law enforcement because I've always had that strong wanting to serve my community, and I also have a strong idea of what's right and wrong. And I think every officer out there is very in tune to injustices and wanting to protect society against injustice, and being able to apply laws and help people is obviously really important to me as well.
Awesome. I'm monitoring the comment section there. I'm filtering just so that we need, okay. It's interesting when you have a bunch of people from Texas.
Okay.
Because law enforcement means a lot of different things in the places where you're at. Texas don't play around. There's a lot of people who got guns and practically feel like they are law enforcement themselves, just because the way that some of the laws are written in Texas, and that's kind of a funny phenomenon.
Well, Tennessee's a constitutional carry state now too, so
yeah. So I think some of those similarities travel across states. Really quickly here, I want to do some Q&A here with Jessica. You got a couple of minutes left?
Absolutely. What you need?
Yeah. So we're going to do a little bit of Q&A. If you guys have a question for Jessica, let's go ahead and get that up there. Let me change this just so we know who we're talking to here. Doing a fantastic job, Jessica.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I'm just looking for things here in my queue here. Q&A. Yes. Okay. All right. Q&A. Got a question for Jessica, something that you wanted to share with her or something that you wanted to say. Now is that time. Yes. So this question, I think you already answered it. Do you have an open carry in Tennessee?
Yes.
Tennessee don't play either.
Yeah, constitutional carry. Basically, unless you're disqualified to have a firearm, you can carry a firearm. That does not allow you to carry inside businesses that choose not to allow you to carry inside of them, but generally speaking, you can have a firearm on you. We're a green building here, so I have a motion activated light. Apparently I'm not moving enough, so it keeps cutting out. So I'm gonna go turn my light back on.
You turn the light back on.
There we go.
Look at that. I didn't know if you knew this. You probably know this. You're active and stay in the news and everything, but because of the heartbeat bill in Texas, he said that we do not let them kill our babies once we hear their heartbeat. And so I think that's going to be an ongoing discussion, not necessarily a law enforcement discussion, but just something the audience wanted to say. Residential security cameras.
Yes, I like residential security cameras. They act as a deterrent and they act as a help for us once if there is a break-in, wants to enforce the law, gives us a lead on a suspect description often. One thing about residential security cameras, suspects or criminals don't typically wear name tags, so it is not an auto solve. I can't automatically solve a case, but the pictures that we get off residential security cameras are phenomenal for helping us identify criminals after the fact.
Yeah.
One thing I will say is I have gotten a lot of awesome pictures of spider webs. So if once a month you can wipe those off, I would be greatly appreciated.
Oh, it got practical around here. Hey, people, clean off your cameras here. Man,
They're only as good as they are clean.
help a sister out. Another question comes up: has open carry helped reduce crime?
I have not seen it reduce crime, but I haven't studied that directly, so I'm not 100% sure.
That almost would be one of those hard statistics to tell. You'd have to have a period of time before open carry and then a period of time after open carry to see what the numbers and the differential is there.
Mm-hmm.
Look at me just answering your questions for you.
You did a great job. I mean,
Yeah.
you're absolutely right. One of the hardest things in law enforcement, and when we are doing this proactive work where we're going out and building relationships with the community, it is very hard to tell how much crime we reduce or how much crime we've prevented from happening just by having a conversation.
Yeah, because the crime doesn't happen.
Exactly.
So there's no metric to be able to track that. But yeah, I think that those are vital things. Having those relationships with people, and certainly you've probably heard me before. I think that one of the benefits of us being faith-based leaders here on the Justice Circle is being able to go into our community and have discussions with people and being able to hear people and being able to create partnerships and relationships with people so that when things do happen, we already have those relationships that are built up so that it doesn't escalate into something that is, detrimental and cataclysmic for our city.
Absolutely.
I love this question by Meg Habasevich. She says, what are your biggest challenges for women in law enforcement? Being a career woman in the 80s, I hope that you aren't experiencing some of the challenges that she did. I don't know exactly what those challenges are, but I would probably assume that they have to do with glass ceilings. They have to do with stereotypes. They have to do with a variety of different issues, maybe some of them sexual harassment related. I don't know what her issues were in the 80s, but maybe just in general, maybe you could personalize and talk about some of your challenges that you have faced being a woman in law enforcement.
Sure. So surprisingly, I guess I haven't really faced any of those challenges. I've definitely heard about other people experiencing challenges and having difficult conversations. I think one of the biggest things that we face as females is, generally speaking, we're the caregivers, and that it doesn't have to be that way, but that's what society tells us, right? So we end up having to carry the burden a lot of, who's going to take care of the kid? As Erskin said, I have a 6-year-old little boy. He is wonderful. But that is a challenge of finding childcare and making sure that we are available for our parents or other people that we are having to take care of. I have an awesome husband and have a great partnership with him, and he can share the burden, but he's also in the Navy. And so when he deploys and stuff like that, that's all on me. But I have a great community network, and I think it's really important for females in any career, but especially law enforcement, to find a mentor and find out someone that you want to live a career like, and utilize those resources as much as possible. We have a lot of great training in female enforcers. We have a class coming up, I think in November, for female enforcers, and it's good to have that community.
Yeah. So maybe who are some of your mentors that you looked up to and said, hey, I want to be like that person, that woman?
Oh, I don't know if they would. I don't know
Good.
if they would want me to talk about it.
Oh, well, I mean, if you can't talk about it, then you don't talk about it, because you can always plead the fifth.
Yeah, I'm going to plead the fifth on that one because I don't want to name drop anybody that doesn't want me to name drop them. But I do have a couple of people here in the department that I look up to, and I really appreciate their guidance and them taking the time to help me be a better police officer and learn what I need to learn.
That is awesome. A couple more questions, then we're going to let you go because you got a lot of stuff to do. Your schedule is all over the place.
It is, but so is yours, right? We're here together.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, there's always surprises. There's what you plan to do, and then there's what you actually get to do on any given day.
On most days, yes.
Yeah. Yep. 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 And so there's a lot of people who are talking about um, just some of those conversations that you're able to have with people and some of those correspondence and community relationships that you're having, almost looking at it like preventative health in the sense that you don't know how much that impacted the future because the future didn't turn out poorly.
Absolutely.
That's great. That's great. All right. Well, speak now, audience, or forever hold your peace till maybe she comes back later. See, this wasn't so bad.
It wasn't bad. I could definitely do it again if you need me to.
Yeah. You were a little bit nervous, but I said, hey, our audience, they can't come to the camera and eat people. They just, they're meat eaters, but they don't come to the camera and eat anybody. They're good,
Yes, but
good people.
recorded conversations, they can be edited or redone. This is not recorded. If I mess up, I just mess up, and everybody's there to see it.
I think that every day. Erskin, you're doing a live stream show. Don't say stupid stuff. Whoop! I just said something stupid. Don't say anything else stupid. Okay, reduce the number of stupid things that you say in the course of a day.
Isn't that the truth in everything we do? That's why you got to say a prayer ahead of time and just let God guide you.
Yeah, say a little prayer. Say a little prayer for Jessica. Say a little prayer for me. I think there's a lot of people who probably would shy away from live stream stuff like this just because, anything you say can and will be used against you. And this is cancel culture. And so I'm pretty sure not only can I say something ridiculous at any given time, but then you can go back and splice together comments that made, and that's the reason why I was like, if you're sitting down there at the bottom of the screen and I'm at the top of the screen, there'd be some joker out there that would be like, he's making a veiled statement about law enforcement. He's one of those Black Lives Matter supporters. I can tell by the way he set the cameras up. Like, come on, please settle down out there. So yeah, a lot of thanks, a lot of love, a lot of appreciation for what it is that you do. My audience that's out there, would you guys please be in prayer for Jessica, the Metro Nashville Police Department, her family, her husband. They're both serving, and like Jessica said, she ain't afraid to come on the show and say she's a follower of Jesus Christ. What? Get you some. Well, we have one final question here from someone who wants to know, I don't think she does this, but can you tell them about Jesus after you give them their rights?
Ooh. I have definitely had some interesting conversations with people in the back of my car, but no, that is not something that we can really do because everyone is entitled to their own thoughts and beliefs and, separation of church and state.
Ooh, I love the way you weave through that question. That was a great answer. I'm going to use that answer sometime. I've had a lot of interesting conversations in the school system when I've talked to students.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jessica, for joining us. We all appreciate what you're doing. I don't know when our next meeting is for the Justice Circle or when you're going to be involved in that, but do stay in contact, and I hope to talk to you soon.
I definitely will. Thank you, Erskin.
All right. Have a fantastic day.
You too.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. That was Jessica Ware, Sergeant Jessica Ware, who was with us here on the Erskin Music Show. And like I said, man, we have some of the most incredible guests that are going to be joining us throughout the time that we are doing the Erskin Music Show. So, yes. Thank you, Kevin, for tuning in for that. I know there's some folks who got to pop off here and they got to go to work. But before you do, I just wanted to play you guys something really quickly here because this is the Thursday show. We don't do a Friday show. And so I wanted to give you guys what we got here today and then prepare for next week. Next week, I'm going to be at Houston Baptist University, Lord willing, throughout the week. And so there's going to be some combination of pre-recorded shows and then some combination of things that I do on site in Houston next week. And so you guys will want to tune in for that because there's some really cool announcements. Anytime I get to partner with a Life Action ministry, that's a very revival focused ministry. So the gospel will be preached and we'll be having tons of conversations with our current and future Christian ministry leaders, partnering with Life Action next week. Another one of my brand sponsors is Holt International. You see it next to Big Head there on the back of the screen there. I have a special offer for you because I've been with Holt International long enough to still have some of the kids that are sponsored to the $34 packet price, $34 packet price. And so they're about to change all of their marketing and go up to $39. But I had a conversation with them and they said, hey, if you still have the packets that say $34, if there's people who sponsor kids with you, they can sponsor them for $34. We'll honor that. And once we send out the new stuff for $39, then it'll be that. And so I want you guys to see some of the interaction that I have with Holter International and just really quickly talk about that really quickly. Hey guys, you may have never heard of an organization called Holt International. Well, that's okay, because at one point, I'd never heard of them either. I quickly learned that they were a child advocacy program, much like Compassion or World Vision, and yet that never impressed me because I've always wondered if sponsorship money ever really does get to the kids that are advertised. But I did a little research about Holt, and I found out that they had been around since the 1950s and that they were actually pioneers in the realm of international adoption. This group is impressive, and they're actually unique. I began to realize that like our family, Holt was actually giving other families the life-giving opportunity not only to sponsor children and strengthen families, but also to adopt. Yes, adopt. That made all the difference in my confidence concerning who they were. It became even more personal when recently I took a trip to visit some of the kids that I advocate for. You see, for me, I know what they have done, and I know what they do. But now, these kids, families, and administrators are real people living at times an extremely difficult life for Jesus. Simply, will you pray for these kids whose information is displayed at the table in the back? And will you consider sponsoring or even adopting one of these precious children into your home? To God be the glory, great things He is doing. So that is a video that I use on site when I'm doing some of the shows that are there. I'm trying to figure out where this is at. Oh, yeah, there it is. There it is. There it is. Yeah. Okay. Yep, there it is. So anyway, like I said before, they're going to go up to $39 for their sponsorship, but I still have packets that are available at $34. If you want those and have a conversation about those, at the $34 price range, please have that conversation with me. I'd love to get more of these kids sponsored. As I said before in the video, having been over there and seen the trail between doing a show, somebody sponsoring a child, what that sponsorship does in actual people's lives, I've kind of seen the whole operation in works. I'm a big supporter of Holt International just because, you know, I am pretty skeptical myself. If I give money, I don't want it to go to help people have lavish and wonderful vacations. I'd like it to actually be able to get to the kids that are there. And so they're doing a tremendous job and have done that for a long time. That's Holt International. You'll also see that, yes, there's a PayPal link down at the bottom of the screen. If you like the content, wait a minute, we missed something here. Subscribe to the show. That's what we missed. You can support this show by subscribing to it. Check this out. You can subscribe on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. Enable the notifications, and let's rock out. So that's one of the other ways that you can support the show. PayPal is a way that you can support the show. And I didn't ask Jessica this. It was a test. It was something that I forgot to do. It was an oversight. But I had been asking her to listen to Erskin music so she could give us what her favorite song was. And I didn't ask her what her favorite song was. And so I'm just going to have to invent what her favorite song may have been. Thanks, Twitch. All right. So this is the outro for the Erskin music show for today. It is a song called Life Matters. I hope you guys enjoyed this week of broadcasts. We dealt with the vaccine conspiracy, the great vaccine conspiracy, part 1, part 2. And it's not the vaccine or the virus. It is Satan who's trying to use that to divide his people, as I count division. And so been a great week. Jessica joining us here today, and we have some more fantastic guests that are joining us over the course of the next few weeks. because of the pre-record feature that I have an opportunity. I've already done a couple of pre-recorded shows, but I will have the opportunity to just plug in some guests, and I'll start promoting those guests in advance so that you know what it is that you're coming to. But we typically have a guest on once a week. We have enough guests in the queue that we could have a guest show every day, but then I wouldn't get a chance to talk, which is what I like to do, and share my commentary and sort of the principles that govern this show. We'll be doing that along the way as well. So anyway, that muscle in my arm is looking big today. Okay, great job. Thank you guys so much for your support. Thank you for the hour that you guys have spent with me. We're going to get out a little less than an hour today. So thank you. And I hope to see you guys on Tuesday, joining in Wednesday and Thursday, which the show airs during those times, typically around 8:30 or 9. I may have to just be a little creative about that with the pre-recorded show. But it'll typically be around 8:30 or 9 o'clock. The latest it would start is 9 o'clock because I want to try to get people who are headed to work to be able to get some of the Erskin Music Show before they have to go into work. So thank you guys so much. This is Life Matters.
Nothing is strong.